Looking for financial support that strives to honor your community's rich heritage and cultural practices? Introducing RBC Origins. Our Indigenous banking specialists provide resources and advice that can help transform your ideas into tangible progress and community prosperity. At RBC, we're committed to driving your goals forward. Learn more at rbc.com/indigenous. RBC, ideas happen here.
I'm Rick Harp. This is your APTN News Brief for Friday, July 25th. We start in the Northwest Territories, where Prime Minister Mark Carney met with Inuit leaders Thursday to discuss Bill C-5, aka the One Canadian Economy Act. And though the act has proven controversial for many, Inuit Tapiriit Kanatami President Nathan Obed says he's reassured it won't violate modern treaties. Sav Jonza reports.
Inuit leaders had a lot to discuss during a meeting with Prime Minister Mark Carney early Thursday. Along with the One Canadian Economy Act, or Bill C-5, the Inuit Crown Partnership Committee has identified 14 priority areas they want to work on with Canada.
Whether it be the Child First Initiative, the ongoing housing crisis, and the necessary actions to resolve it, the work that still needs to be done on education and on language and infrastructure. All of these things, I hope we can have fulsome conversations about today.
Inuit Tapiriit Kanatami President Nathan Obed co-chaired the meeting, saying having it so soon after the federal election shows the government's willingness to work with Inuit. Going in with a third of his cabinet to discuss Bill C-5, Carney said it was a charged agenda.
This opportunity to build major projects, nation-building projects across Inuit Nunagat, across the Northwest Territories, across Canada, in partnership. So that will be the core of our discussions today. But as well, we'll address issues around Arctic security, defense, and education, health, social services, for our people.
C-5 has been widely controversial throughout Canada, with fears that it threatens Indigenous sovereignty. But after the meeting, Obed said he felt reassured the bill will not violate modern treaties.
I'm really optimistic about the ability for Canada to respect our agreements in this implementation phase of Bill C-5. But still, these are early days, and we look forward to the conversations ahead.
Northern and Arctic Affairs Minister Rebecca Chartrand shared what was said to calm Obed's fears.
What we told Nathan Obed is that these processes have already been established. So when we look at the modern treaties, we know that we have to abide by the regulatory and the environmental assessments. And that's what we're going to do.
Virginia Mearns, an Inuk from Nunavut, was also announced as the new Arctic ambassador. Obed said he personally recommended her for the role and is very pleased with her appointment. Sav Jonza, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
To Saskatchewan, where a First Nation works to protect its own trade relations, a hot topic of late across North America. Rachel May now on a chief currently promoting his Indigenous First model in Mexico.
We're exercising our sovereignty and implementing it and operationalizing it through mechanisms that we've always had as Dakota people, as Indian people.
Standing Buffalo Dakota Nation Chief Roger Redman is in Mexico to announce the Standing Buffalo Economic Corridor Initiative. He is at the Commission for Environmental Cooperation, or CEC, to seek recognition from world leaders to move his initiative forward. The CEC is hosting a public forum in Mexico City from July 24th to 25th. The CEC brings together Mexico, Canada, and the U.S. to address environmental issues and avoid conflict between trade and environmental policies.
Operationalizing using existing legislation, international legislation on incorporating and revitalizing ancient trade routes.
The initiative is a First Nations-led plan to promote trade, protect the environment, and build infrastructure through partnerships with Canada, the U.S., and Mexico. It will reconnect the historic Oceti-Sakowee trade network that once linked the Mississippi Basin to the Canadian Rockies. It also includes creating the Dakota-Lakota Cross-Border Trade Authority to issue licenses, verify goods, and network with all governments.
So we have mechanisms in place on how everybody would collectively benefit from that. So we've given the province notice, we've given some of the industry players notice that We have our own consultation framework and our own legislative authority stemming from our traditional governance systems. And the trade-off is one of them.
Chief Redmond says a Sovereign Alliance consultation will set legal rules for project approvals, cultural reviews, and monitoring. The nation presented the Economic Corridor Initiative to Canadian Environment Minister Julie DeBruson, U.S. EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin, and Mexico's Environment Secretary Alicia Bárcena. Redmond says the initiative is made in good faith, stressing that First Nations-led environmental law is key to North America's future in climate, conservation, and trade.
We work together, we stick together, so when one nation succeeds, we all succeed.
Rachel May, APTN National News, Saskatoon.
Returning to the One Canadian Economy Act and the similar Bill 5 out of Ontario, both meant to fast-track major resource projects and associated infrastructure. The question, of course, is how they may affect Indigenous people's rights, especially when the laws were passed without first securing their consent. Here was some of their thoughts on where things have ended up. APTN's Truth and Politics panel, strategist Jennifer Lewitz and columnist Nigan Sinclair.
I think that's one of the biggest, concerns about all of this is that it's really black and white when it comes to whether or not First Nations or, Indigenous people in general support research development in this country. It's already a contentious issue that most people have a hard time dissecting on what stand to take on it. But at the end of the day, if there are going to be these projects and we are going to be involved in them, we cannot be coming to the table and just looking for scraps. It's not, okay, everyone make these business deals, everybody make the plans for these investments. And then at the end, we look at the Indigenous people and decide whether or not they want to be part of it. But then we're begging for the bottom of the barrel. If you were going to be putting projects in any type of industry through our traditional territories across this country, we need to be equal partners, and not just equal partners in terms of investment and what those business opportunities look like, but equal partners in terms of the environmental impacts and whether or not we're brought to the table to have those discussions about what impacts it could have on our lands. And who knows our lands better than our own people? And it's why I keep saying that nations need to get to the table and start, building out their due to consult protocols, mapping out their traditional territories, and, having those discussions about free, prior, and informed consent.
I think there's a historical misunderstanding around treaty as being these kinds of transactional relationships. You give one thing, I give another, not about living together, co-governing, sharing the land, sharing resources, and working together towards the better good for all people. And I think that that's a general misunderstanding of treaty that unfortunately is embodied by the leaders who are most often voted in by people who may not always understand treaty either. It's a kind of a national education problem, an epidemic of misunderstanding, as it were. What we've got really here is we've got premiers who want to move quickly, who see a lot of economic benefit and opportunity, and they're not that interested in talking about spirit and intent. They're not that interested in talking about sharing. They're not that interested in talking about what it really means to be able to evoke and fulfill those agreements that are the legal foundation of the country or the Constitution. I mean, the Constitution is supposed to be about people working together from the very beginning of these laws, not at the very tail end of how much do we pay you. It's supposed to be about working together from the very outset for the betterment of all. And one of the side benefits to all of this, of course, is that when we do fulfill the treaties, we will save the land. We will give air. We will have fresh food to eat, clean water to drink. And I think Canadians need to understand that.
And finally, a trio of miners in northwestern BC are currently trapped underground following 2 cave-ins at the Red Chris mine Tuesday. The gold and copper mine is located in the traditional territory of the Tahltan Nation, and though names of the miners have not been released, 2 are known to be from BC, the other Ontario. All 3 are contractors with the mine. Trapped a half-kilometer below ground, yet reportedly uninjured, the 3 men did manage to make it to a safety chamber, one designed to supply food, water, and oxygen for up to 16 people. Communication with the miners stopped as of Wednesday, something rescue teams on site were working to restore as of last night. BC Premier David Eby.
BC miners are the best in the world. Our rescue teams are exceptional. And they will be working overtime to bring these workers home safely to their families. Obviously, it's very concerning for the families, for the workers in the sector, and all British Columbians and Canadians. And our thoughts are with the families and an appreciation with the incredibly brave rescue teams that are working right now.
And that's your APTN News Brief for Friday, July 25th. I'm Rick Harp.